feeling the podcast. It's just like I didn't.
No, I mean some days you got
on my toes.
like more to say. Oh shit! I just got a text from Gary Vaynerchuk, bro.
Oh, Gary.
Yeah, he told me you got this way more than they know.
Oh shit!
That's just his random texting that I send up for a while. Isn't that like a personalized text? All right, hold on. Let me spin this so that way.
From Gary V though.
It is.
So
he told me to go get it. Have you seen that comedian where he's making fun of Gary V and he's like, go get it, go do it, hustle. And he's like, all right, I'm ready to do it. What do I do, Gary V? And then it cuts back to like him doing some motivational thing, and he's like, oh, I'm ready, but what do I do? And then like he said something about like, you know what? F this, F that, and like goes on one of those rants, and he's like, "You're right, let's kill the president." And he has this huge butcher knife, and he's like, "I'm gonna do it."
Just jump cuts of like,
yeah, I forget who it was,
Gary
but
V's motivational
yes,
stuff, and like him reacting or
dude,
like putting a storyline together.
It was hilarious because everybody gives him crap for being like, "Oh, you're a motivational guy and this and that," but you don't give like actual tactile advice, and unless you like actually listen to one of his books. Which I strongly recommend you do if like marketing or whatever if you're into that. Because the books give like the actual real tactical advice. Like a lot of the sound bites that you see on Instagram are just like the like, go out there and get it and whatever and hustle hard and work your face off.
There's a lot of people that just talk like that.
Well, some people are, that's what they need, There
are some people that follow those people. Just like saying, things are going to be great.
Yeah. All the time. Hustle hard. Oh, speaking of which, now there's a Gary. See, this is marketing.
Stay hard, motherfucker.
So I like click on it, and he's got his like thing going, and then I click on, and then there's an Instagram post. I mean, Gary's got his stuff going down. All right. So topics for today. We have none.
No, it's all right. For those that are not listening, we have Story Coffee. Story Coffee is a great coffee shop in Livermore, and
up over to the camera for those of you guys.
It was my turn to buy coffee today. So I decided
pressed espresso. Wow, delicious.
Because it's so cold today on a Friday that we were going to have a pumpkin spice latte.
Went with the pumpkin spice.
Yeah, I've never had a pumpkin spice latte.
Does it make you fitter?
Matt, have you ever had a pumpkin spice latte?
I may have like 1 year I've had like a sip of one from a Starbucks one, but I've never like had a pumpkin spice latte.
It smells
like
delicious.
Like an official.
You can smell it through the cup.
Whenever I go for a coffee, I do like a caramel macchiato if I do a specialty coffee. Otherwise, it's just drip coffee and black. Espresso.
Caramel macchiato is also my mom's favorite drink.
Really?
Yeah.
She's got a good taste. She's got a good taste in specialty coffees.
Okay, so you can smell the cinnamon.
I can.
So what I kind of figured is I'll just pour half, and then like you can have half.
Awesome, you're the man. Thank you.
And we're gonna go for this like
original cup. This seems like way more than half. You want more?
No, I gotta.
All right, fair enough.
It's plenty.
Grace is gonna get some. All right, so we're gonna taste it.
Yeah.
Cheers! Cheers to Friday. That's pretty delicious. I'm not gonna lie.
It is good.
It's really good.
You know what it kind of tastes like? A chai.
It does taste like a chai.
I like chai.
Or like a gingerbread. Like pumpkin and always kind of gingerbread are always pretty close for me.
Gingerbread too. I got the gingerbread. And it's not very hot right now, but I'm not a big hot drink kind of guy because it burns my tongue and I don't like that.
Me too, though. I'm sorry, I'm coughing into the mic.
If you're not a hot drink person, let us know in the comments.
No. Yeah, seriously.
I don't like getting my tongue burned by scalding hot coffee in the morning. I'd like to drink it.
Also, if there is somebody on, there is somebody on YouTube watching right now. If we sound okay, well, I see the little green dot moving, so that means that I'm talking, and it was moving when you were talking. So we should both have microphone access now. So the world of fitness, what do we got going on? Well, last time we talked about like, can you do or can you make a professional wage like as a coach here in the Bay Area, specifically the Bay Area, because everything else is it's just so expensive to live here. But I threw that up on the Instagram, so we'll see if anybody actually like says yes or no or actually takes the poll. I would say almost nobody does my polls, but I mean that happens. It depends on the question. Yeah. I don't do it often, but I'm trying to become more active on Instagram. I feel a lot of times when I'm like posting stuff like, oh, it's in the fitness industry, but then again, we follow a lot of people in the fitness industry, but I feel like it's all kind of the same stuff sometimes. And so it's just regurgitated and there's a lot of stuff. So, I mean, we try to change it up here and not just talk like how the normal routes, how it is. Obviously like a lot of people make like demo videos or like video correction. Oh, you know what we could do? I know this is really grinds your gears, But
I don't know what it is.
What was the weightlifter lady who would comment over the CrossFit Games, people doing the lifts?
Yeah.
Woo Lift. And
we're gonna put names out there.
Well, at first I was kind of watching it and I was like, oh, okay. Cause she's like, she starts breaking down, all these guys' lifts and this and that. And obviously it's just I would assume just to drive traffic to her site because that's an easy way to do it. Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's CrossFit's a more search subject probably on YouTube than weightlifting specifically or weightlifting technique. But if like CrossFit is the first line in your headline and, it's like reviewing CrossFit Games, 1 rep match snacks, Noah Olson.
Okay, saying goodbye.
It's going to get more clicks. Clickbaity.
Well, she did the thing too with like one of the people, I think it was like either making the lift or doing a pull on the bar, and she like had put like a Photoshop of her kind of doing like the hand in the face, like, oh my gosh, it's terrible.
Her Instagram is full of it.
And there's lots of people that like to jump on and start like criticizing their technique and stuff like that with the CrossFit Total. Like we seen that picture of like Brooke Wells because she has the valgus knees or whatever that just cave in, especially when she's at the top of her load going for a heavy 1 rep max.
Of course.
And there was like a screenshot of it, and then it was used as a thumbnail on YouTube, so that way people clicked it and it was like CrossFitters with terrible technique.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've already touched base on this last time, but when you're watching people, and like where a lot of these fails videos come from are like competitions where people are just throwing caution into the wind and like going for that lift when they shouldn't, or
those are the places where you're supposed to be doing those things.
Yeah, agreed. And a lot of the times when you see just like the average Joe Smo in the competition fails, I think that's because the coaches or the people that are at the gym are maybe putting them in those positions when it's a little too early for you to be at a competition. If it's not a proper beginner competition.
That's true.
I mean, a lot of people here, we don't have a huge appetite for competition, particularly at CFL. I mean, we do have that upper people that want to, but not a ton of low competition, especially with COVID.
Yeah.
But before that, there'd be a lot of people like, oh, what do you think about me competing? And I'm like, well, once you could do some of the workouts in Here RX, once you can move up full range of motion, then think about it, because otherwise you're going to be going at your upper limit. You're going to be like pushing the limits of what you could do. And if you don't have a good foundational base before you do that, you're really looking at being potentially injured.
Yeah. There's a huge difference between just doing an hour-long class workout, a couple times a week versus in a competition, you're doing like 5 workouts.
Yeah, a lot of them. Even these local competitions will have like, 3 events and then a final and what have you.
Same for weightlifting. Going for close to 90%. You train similarly, like leading up to it. You hit those like 95, 98%,
right,
100%,
right.
And like depending on how long you're training for, like leading up to the meet, you may do it like twice, but when you're warming up and you're like putting it all out there, like to either go for 101%, making that new PR,
right,
or being competitive against somebody else, it takes a lot of energy out of you.
It does, and you got to be, knowing that you're going into it, you're going to kind of put yourself at a more potential for injury when you're competing rather than when you're just in the gym training. And hopefully you've done enough training and you have them down enough to where you could go ahead and compete, and still, when your form starts to break down, when you're at that upper limit, you're still relatively safe. And I think like circling back around to the weightlifting thing, obviously she's just using that to start to break down lifts of popular people lifting. So then that way, like we said, it drives attention to her YouTube channel. It kind of shows her expertise as a coach. But and now, hold on, I guess there's a big caveat. I've never fully watched one of hers.
I was just about to ask you, what do you think of her video?
Well, I've watched like part of like one, but I don't know. Generally, she starts with a disclaimer and says like, hey guys, we're just using the a lot before they did these lifts. They're also professional athletes, and we're not necessarily judging them, just going over fine-tuned technique. And then went into it. I'm guessing she did not do that though.
I've never seen it.
Oh, okay. So we're just being total judgmental assholes.
I've never seen those disclaimers. Like,
I don't think they're there. Damn, this we do.
Just bring them up.
We'd pull it up. Yeah.
So if anybody's listening,
I think it's like the 3rd episode. We're like, hey,
it's at. I don't even want to promote it. That's how much I don't like it. And like for anybody that,
well, I don't know if it's fair to actually say that we don't like it anymore. If you had ever watched it now,
from what I've seen,
I've watched one of them. But
she also puts out snippets or like bites of her. I don't know, maybe doing seminars and critiquing people's lifts.
Okay.
And, every coach has a little different way of lifting, but I also feel like every coach should have like a solid base knowledge, within certain aspects of the lift.
Yeah.
Keeping it close. Right.
As before going into a bunch of detailed stuff, is that what you're kind of getting at? Like, do you think it's like too detailed oriented?
No, it's just like bad cueing.
Oh, really?
Bad cueing, bad advice that I wouldn't give out. Advice that I don't think is useful.
Have you seen it on Instagram then? Is that where you're going? Okay.
I've seen some of her YouTube videos.
All right,
too.
Good. So I take that back. We're not totally just being awful.
And right now there's a bunch of Instagram meme weightlifting pages. That's a sub thing. That's very specific. It's very
about niche in the internet.
To my Instagram algorithm. They're just going after her.
Wow, that's interesting.
But not just her. There's like lots of weird things out there. I have to think of the name of the recovery thing, but a guy that didn't like weightlifting, and just the affiliation that he used that was trying to bash weightlifting.
Oh, okay.
How it's like bad for the knees.
Oh, right. One of those. Okay.
But
yeah, who clearly doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting to me is like when people like, I think you're the same way with this. There aren't such things as bad like exercises to do, right? But for the most part, there's no really like right or wrong. It's kind of like, well, what are you specifically going after?
That's great.
And then what exactly do you need to like clean up mechanics wise, right? Because like there's a lot of these, like you see these like Instagram fitness chick, and it's just some girl in really tight, like hardly wear anything clothing, and she's doing some like laying down banded exercise,
which is my warm up.
Well, that's the point that I was trying to make. Like, are those people like, well, what do you think about these exercises? And I'm like, well, they're valuable if you're using it for a specific reason. If that's your whole entire warm up, you're really missing the mark.
Yeah.
Like, and same thing, like I always say, like people are like, oh, I do yoga. What do you think of yoga? And I was like, well, it's great. Yoga is awesome. But if yoga is your main way of exercising, unfortunately, laying in a stretch for a long period of time is not going to do a whole lot for your bone density.
Yeah.
It's not going to do a whole lot for your muscle strength or building strength or ligament strength. It's going to do not a whole lot for your aerobic system.
Yeah, there's no loading.
There's no loading. There's no external load. So is it good for you? Yeah, the breathing portion of it is really good.
Balance.
The passive stretching, all that stuff is super important. But again, it should be a mix of all of it. And I think that's one of the things that we provide specifically at this gym, but CrossFit also taps into a ton too, because with CrossFit, you're like, well, they didn't invent any new movements. And you're like, yeah, well, no duh. Yeah. All they did is take big compound movements like weightlifting, powerlifting, gymnastics, and monostructure, which is a fancy word for cardio as we know it, and just mixed it all up into one. And the other exercises, like the banded things and stuff, are valuable for warm-ups.
Well, I don't think like you need to invent new exercises. There's so many different exercises.
Right.
But it always comes back to, specificity. What is the purpose of the exercise? Why did you make that exercise? What was the purpose behind it?
Yeah.
Because also on Instagram, aside from, bad coaching, internet coaching, there's also a lot of people that make up their own exercises.
Right.
You see the guys that are doing random hurdle jumps into 360 spins up onto a 48-inch plyo box and then doing a backflip off of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, probably that was sick parkour.
That's probably not going to be the workout for me.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure this is still running too.
So, those are really cool and look great on your Instagram, but what the fuck did you just do? Are you going to do like 3 sets of 10 of this?
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of, at some point it crosses the line and it gets gimmicky.
Yeah.
But I also think that sometimes like doing stuff that is good for lifestyle changes is never really that fancy. It's also the monotony of just the same thing over and over again that brings us really good result, but that's the hardest part of it, right? Like I remember there was a thing with like Kai Green back in the day, and he was like, oh, you want to be a bodybuilder, but it's basically going in, lifting all the weights, eating all the right food. Anybody could do it for one day, for 1 week. But who could do it month after month, year after year, and consistently? And then everybody falls off a little bit, but how do you fall off and get right back on?
Yeah.
And I think that's the hard part. And that's why a lot of those gimmicky things sell in the fitness industry, is because people think, oh, well, I'm kind of bored with this. I'm not really getting the result I want. Like, what else is new out there? Right.
Oh my gosh. I couldn't agree to that more. Like mastering the mundane is one of the things that I tell people when they first start weightlifting.
That's it. It's 2 lifts, really. You're trying to improve
2 lifts. Like
2 lifts.
There's a reason why, the elite level lifters, they still work on technique, but maybe probably not as much as you do. But if you're 23 and you got to be doing that for 10 years to like still master those like little nuances and like how to make each lift a little bit different or a little bit better. So you're gonna be 33 when you like feel comfortable with it. Like,
yeah, that's assuming you got the 10 years and that foundation built on your belt. I'm trying to see here. What is our time clock? Oh, we're already at 15 minutes. Damn. We do have, and we were talking about this earlier. Speaking of like specific testing, we do have a couple of people from the United States Air Force that are here that are doing a conditioning test or using our facility to do a conditioning test to make their way onto the special operations side of the Air Force, which I think they're trying to do like a combat controller thing or maybe pararescue.
Okay.
Also, there's probably somebody who watched this that's in the military that is like, that dude has no idea what he's talking about. And you would be correct. I have no idea what I'm talking about. But the guys are here, so they may jump in. They're using they just did their 1.5 mile run. I think they're using the pull-up bar and get ready to do some workouts now. But anyhow, in case that comes through,
everybody's welcome here.
Well, that's one of the things too. Is like a lot of times gym owners we were talking about like coaches making a livable wage, like me expanding upon business. And earlier you were asking like, oh, can we talk about with the Air Force being here? Is that not? And yeah, that's one of the things, like as a gym owner, as a coach, you always have to try to expand and take your knowledge set to some place that will find a lot of value in it that currently isn't doing it. So talking about taking the same things or the mundane and then refreshing that to sell it into a package that will train, whether it's, our United States Air Force people to be that much stronger, or whether it's, I work with the fire departments locally here, or whether it's just employees up there, or my parents, right? Yeah.
Our parents.
And our parents. Yeah. So we're, we like to cover all of our bases here and deliver on results based on those goals. So like in the same room, we have some people training to be at the most, elite unit in our military, working out next to my mom earlier. Right. So that's kind of the cool part about it and what we capture here. And as a coach, you should definitely be able to have the experience to add value to both sets, which is important because, when you first start coaching, you might be able to take somebody who's been new and really show them and make stuff. But how do you make that athlete better that's been doing it for, 5-6 years or is already at an upper fitness level?
It's going to be easier to take somebody with no experience versus somebody that's, probably had some experience and make them better.
Right. Yeah.
It's a hell of a game.
And to do it, and to just do it across the board from a bunch of different people takes a lot of know-how and being able to plug that in. I mean, we should probably come up with like hot news topics too. One that I do know of that is a little unfortunate is CrossFit San Francisco CrossFit is closing its doors on November 15th, which is going to be next week permanently. That's a huge hit for the CrossFit community because that gym has been a staple. And for some of you guys that don't know, it's Julie and Kelly Starrett. If some of you guys know Kelly Starrett from a lot of the stuff that he's done in the past, it's Julie and Kelly Starrett's gym that originally started in a parking lot. It was just in a parking lot with a storage container.
Damn, before COVID?
Yeah. So, no, I mean, it's a staple gym. It's been around for forever. And it's just unfortunate that they weren't able to survive it. What's up? Do the guys need anything?
No, I just need my gun.
Oh, do you want to say hi to the people on the podcast live?
It's a Theragun for everybody that's listening.
Yeah. You have to get in front of the camera. You're not really in front of it.
The camera?
Yeah.
So those that don't know, this is Grace.
Oh.
They know Grace. She's been on the podcast before.
Grace.
Okay.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Are the guys still out there?
The guys are out there.
We're recording.
Okay.
And Kelly Starrett is the author of Becoming Supple Leopard. Yeah, Becoming a Supple Leopard, Ready to Run, and Desk Bound is the 3 books that he wrote. And I've gotten a ton of value out of those books in the past. So any coach out there that's looking to, like we were just talking about, add value on both ends of the spectrum, brand new beginner and somebody who's been doing it for a while, strongly recommend Kelly Starrett's work. And maybe that's something we could get into in future podcasts, like different materials or educational things that we've done to better our coaching, or kind of our go-to people, like who you look to for mobility stuff. I know Squat University is a big one that we like. But yeah, we'll go into a little bit of that next time. Totally lost my train of thought on that. Oh, Kelly Starrett. Yeah, gym closed down permanently.
It's done because of COVID. And ironically,
do you know of any other gyms other than, or
I don't.
That's a big gym. I've never been there myself, but it has always been. Kelly Strait is very popular.
Yeah, he's huge within the
guy in our industry.
Huge in the CrossFit community. No, I know that gym started as a like literally in a parking lot with just a storage container that they kept all the stuff in, and they would just bring it out and go at it.
I remember the first time I saw a YouTube video on muscle flossing.
Oh, with him?
Yeah.
With the voodoo floss.
Yeah, I was still in school, and like I was taking some maybe injury prevention kind of class.
Yeah.
But I went up to my professor and I was like, hey, look at this video. This guy's just taking like this rubber and wrapping around his arm and putting it through range of motion. And then he says it feels way better.
It's funny because he wrote a book called Iced. He was a co-author on a book called Iced, where they basically debunked icing things for recovery. Ice right after injury occurs, ice is good to hold swelling, but after that, they say it's compression that's more important than ice. So if you guys are treating an injury or something, and that's where the voodoo floss came in big, because you could do compression through the muscle, which basically is like wrapping it in a foam roller and then taking it through range of motion. Some of the first weightlifting coaches that Kelly Strait cited that did that used to do with old inner tubes from bicycles.
Yeah, I remember that too.
Yeah.
He's like, if you don't have one of these, like if you can't order it from Rogue Fitness, like
get
was
old
still
bike
in like
tire.
beta testing.
yeah. That's it. Then they got strips of rubber, and now you could basically buy those anywhere.
Kind of bike tire.
It's funny that never really caught on as much. I mean, I guess it did sometimes, and some of the athletes still do it, but you don't really see it as mainstream as it used to be a couple years ago. The voodoo flossing.
Yeah, it was pretty big.
It was big.
Ago.
Same with those Normatec boots everybody wanted.
Ooh, I liked those.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first time I used those was at Calstrin.
Oh, really? I've never used them.
It's like putting pillowcases made out of nylon over your legs.
Then it just like squeezes them.
Yeah, and in like compartments, like pillowy compartments.
Oh, that's interesting. But
and it looks cool when you're like recovering and you got like these big moon boots on, and then there's like a pump in the background that's like.
That seems like a professional deal. But yeah, so unfortunate there that gym is closing down, and we'll be on the 15th. That's a big loss to Bay Area CrossFit community. A lot of history in that gym. But I guess we'll basically land the plane now. I don't really know. We'll have better topics next week, but I think we're also just trying to work these technical difficulties out, because last time our podcast dropped off halfway through, and then it actually didn't record on GarageBand. So then we didn't have a normal podcast, or I guess I should say audio only podcast.
Yeah.
But now we do. So now we'll at least have an episode for next week, and we're going to keep the reps going here.
I'm still taking creatine.
It's helped.
I think so. My lifts have, been pretty good. I've been feeling pretty good about my lifts. What about you?
I've been getting definitely stronger, but I've also, like I said last time, I've also just been more consistent.
Yeah.
With like putting in the work and getting in my squats and everything else. So, that's what that does. It's like you get something that gets you excited, and then you work out more, and you're more into your workouts.
The past couple of days, I've been eating a lot of candy.
Oh boy.
A lot of chocolate, peanut butter cups. But
those are my favorite, Reese's.
Yeah, me too.
So I guess we'll go through. You want to do last word on here, or the shout out? Which one would you like to do first?
Shout out first, and then I'll do the last word.
All right. So shout out. This is last week's episode. This is the most listened to. Our number one is always Livermore, because we have the local, and then the number two we've already done last time, which is Atlanta, Georgia. Shout out, and then number three I think is new.
No, I think we hit number 3.
Did we?
Yeah.
What about the fourth most listened then?
Let's go with the 5th.
Okay. Just because you wanted to say that?
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
It's Waterlooville, England.
Our friends across the pond.
That's a pretty interesting name. Waterlooville.
All right, well, shout out.
Waterlooville.
Also, too, our technology here is advancing, which is exciting, because we need to get guests that would tune in with us.
Yeah.
Like drop in.
Because we have video now.
Oh, man, it'd be awesome. We got to figure out the Zoom thing. I don't know. That's going to go way above my technical ability.
Like the video. You like the video?
If you guys like the video, if you guys are listening to YouTube now or later, drop a comment, hit the like button, subscribe if you are enjoying it. We're going to be coming with some awesome topics, and I'm going to slowly get us to switch it to like news stuff. So like when it starts, it'll be like, and then we'll have like a little list of topics. Yeah, and we'll just roll down and go over all the major stuff. Yesterday was CrossFit's town hall meeting, so I'll be going over that. We'll get some stuff together there. I'll get some notes on it. You know, I could give our perspective on that. I also have a meeting with the Northern California Advisory Board for the affiliates. So, you know, any information that I could share that comes out of that, we'll bring that to the table next week. And anything that you guys want to hear out in the ether, let us know. If you're watching on YouTube, hopefully you can hear both of us. Well, not if Albert whispers. All right. So hopefully you guys can hear us. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a like, subscribe if you're watching. Thank you very much. Do you have a last word, or am I putting you on the spot now?
No, it's all good.
Shout out Waterloo, England one more time.
Waterlooville.
My bad. Waterlooville, England.
Go on a 10-minute walk today.
10-minute walk.
Go on a 10-minute walk.
And try to spread more positivity. That's usually our message here. Thank you for spending some time with us. For the two that are watching on YouTube, we appreciate you guys. We appreciate everybody that's listening to this later, wherever you are in the world. Thank you very much. We hope you guys are doing well. You're healthy, staying positive, having a great day.
Pumpkin spice lattes aren't that bad.
Pumpkin spice lattes aren't that bad. All right, guys. We'll catch you next time. Peace.
Peace.
Nice.